What is up, guys? So from now on, my trailer breakdowns for Arrow and the Flash will be in the same video, the weekly trailer breakdowns for the next episode of Arrow and the next episode of the Flash. You want to skip my Arrow trailer breakdown because right here I'm going to do Arrow and then the Flash. There will be a timestamp right here, so you can skip to this time. That's where I'm going to start breaking down the next episode of the Flash's trailer. So without further ado, let's start with Arrow's episode, which is Season 7, Episode 13, titled Star City Slayer.
Look at us, working together again, being targeted by a homicidal maniac.
What's going on?
Don't hurt my son. Take upstairs.
Split up? Have you guys never seen a horror movie before?
Arrow. All new this Monday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
So the trailer begins with Curtis saying that Team Arrow is now working together again, which they are after the end of the last episode where Curtis, Renee, and John were all deputized by the SCPD just like Oliver was. So that means the entirety of Team Arrow really is now working for the SCPD. That leads into this episode where Team Arrow is now working together again. But this trailer clearly shows that the main focus of it is this new villain, a guy named the Star City Slayer, who is hunting down the entirety of Team Arrow. We see him attacking Dinah at the end. We see him attacking Oliver and William and Felicity, and we see him confronting the entirety of Team Arrow. Now, who this is, based off the title of the episode, it is the Star City Slayer. In the comics, the Star City Slayer is a character who we've already seen on the show multiple times. In fact, in this season, he has already been developed into a villain, and that is Stanley Dover. In the comics, he is a serial killer, and after we saw him in the first 7 episodes of Arrow Season 7, in this show, he's a serial killer as well. In the first couple episodes, he was a prison buddy to Oliver, who he says he was falsely accused of murder or just a crime that he says he doesn't commit. In the end, in episode 7, it's revealed that he did commit that murder, and the episode prior to that, Oliver suspects that he is not as innocent as he says he is. I think this was just handled incredibly well in this episode, making him go from this very innocent guy to a basically a mass murdering psychopath in the end of that whole storyline. Now he is back in this episode as the Star City Slayer, and he is also tracking down or hunting down the entirety of Team Arrow. Why he's specifically hunting down Team Arrow, it's possible he feels betrayed by Oliver Queen. After in episode 7, Oliver didn't save him, or he beat him up in that episode, and he just left him there to, I guess, die, but then he escaped at the end after killing Brick. And now he might feel very betrayed by Oliver, who he thought was his friend, so he tries to hunt him down, either get revenge, or just either try to convince Oliver that he is good or he's just like Oliver. I feel like that will be a big plot point. The Star City Slayer, aka Stanley Dover, his main motivation, I'm guessing, is either that he wants to get revenge on Oliver, or something that will be more interesting is that he wants to prove to Oliver that he is a hero like him, and what he did, the fact that he killed all those people was not a bad thing, and they deserve to die, just like how Oliver killed people in Season 1. This would be the same thing, where Star City Slayer is basically very similar to the Hood in Season 1, where he kills people, but only people he thinks deserve to die. And I think that will be his main motivation, trying to prove to Oliver that he is a good guy and what he's doing is right. So outside of the whole Star City Slayer thing in this episode, there are some other things that are going to happen. In the trailer, we see Oliver, Felicity, and William being attacked by someone, probably the Star City Slayer. For some reason, they can't move their bodies or something, or maybe I'm just interpreting the trailer wrong, but that's what it seems like is happening. William says, "What's happening?" And Oliver, basically not being able to move his body except for his mouth and neck, says, "Don't hurt my son," probably talking to the Star City Slayer. But before that, they will have a separate storyline. We saw in the last episode, William said that he was expelled from school in a pretty bad storyline, definitely the worst part of that episode, but that is something that will be expanded upon in this episode. It will be revealed why or how he was expelled from that school. This will mean Oliver will not be the Green Arrow in this episode, which is kind of annoying. I mean, in this season, after episode 7, which up until the point is 100% excusable because he was in prison, but after that, Oliver has not really been the Green Arrow that much. He was in episode 8 for quite a bit, and then episode 12 for quite a bit, but the other episodes, not really all too much. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I just feel like Oliver has not been the Green Arrow enough in this season after episode 7, and now in this episode, I don't think he will suit up as the Green Arrow, which is kind of lame, but he definitely will be a part of the whole storyline with the Star City Slayer, as we see in the trailer. But it seems like the episode, the main thing will be the Star City Slayer versus the rest of Team Arrow, meaning Diggle, Dinah, Renee, and Curtis, with Oliver only being there probably at the end, which is interesting because the Star City Slayer's main motivation, if it is Dover, which it probably is, will be connected to Oliver Queen, which is why he's probably going to be a pretty good villain because of his connection, and he probably feels betrayed by Oliver Queen, so that will make him a good villain with a great connection to Oliver Queen and a great motivation. But in this episode, it seems like he will not be fighting against Oliver for the most part, but we will see what will happen next week. So that is it for the Arrow trailer breakdown. Moving on to The Flash Season 5 Episode 14, titled Cause and Excess, which The Flash has already had a title titled Cause and Effect back in Season 3 when Barry lost his memory, so then Savitar lost his memory as well, and then in the end, he got his memory back. Now they're not only reusing the title with a pun, Cause and Excess, they're also reusing a plot from Legends of Tomorrow, so let's watch the trailer so that I can break it down.
There are consequences to time travel.
This Tuesday.
It's Mom. I have to fix this.
This Tuesday.
I'm trying to change the outcome.
This Tuesday.
I was supposed to protect you.
This Tuesday. This Tuesday.
When did I fix this?
So like I said, Nora gets stuck in a time loop, although it's not really a time loop. It's not like she is in a scenario that happens over and over again, and every time she dies, her whole day is reset, so she has the opportunity to do that thing again. So in the end, she is successful, and that stops the time loop. That's basically the plot of all the time loop movies, or like an episode of Legends of Tomorrow back in Season 3, but this is not exactly that same time loop. I'm pretty sure it's more that things are going wrong, so she keeps on time traveling over and over again to the day before so that she can do things differently and so she can fix things, and this time she could save someone. I'm pretty sure, like in the synopsis, it says Iris is in danger. Maybe Cicada kidnaps her or something, which is, I don't know why she would be in danger there, because she can defeat Cicada by herself with pepper spray and a kitchen knife, which was ridiculous, but she is in danger and Nora wants to save her, and Barry's busy on the metahuman cure, so she does it by herself. It doesn't work out, so she time travels and she tries to do things differently. Doesn't work out because Barry says there are consequences to time travel, so saving Iris would make another thing worse, like we see in the trailer. Now Ralph is kidnapped by Cicada and maybe even killed, so she reverses that as well. She has to do that over and over again, which is an interesting concept. It's been done before. It's even been done before pretty recently in the Arrowverse, so it probably won't be as original or interesting. But I do think it probably will end up being pretty good. But one thing I really hope happens in this episode is something Barry says, and something the show's been telling us this entire time, which is there are consequences to time travel. So if Iris is supposed to die in this day, which doesn't really make any sense because Nora's never been born at this point, so maybe she's not supposed to die, maybe just something's supposed to happen to her, or she is in danger and Nora reverses that even though Iris is not supposed to die. I don't know what is going to happen, but if somebody is in danger, if somebody's supposed to die, now Barry says there are consequences to time travel. If Nora keeps on time traveling over and over again, there should be consequences to time travel, and somebody should either be in grave danger in this episode in the end and not really be saved until another couple episodes later, or somebody should die. Now I don't see somebody dying in this episode like out of nowhere. That would be really, really random and probably wouldn't be a good death. Like if somebody's supposed to die and they're switched out for another death of a character. They've done that before at the end of Season 3, and it was terrible how they executed that with Iris is supposed to die, and they switched it out with HR, which made the moment more happy for our main character than it was sad for the other supporting character who we haven't seen since in Tracy Brand when HR died. So I think that was a terrible moment, and I really hope they don't do that again. But if Barry says there are consequences to time travel, there should be consequences to time travel, and Nora shouldn't really get out of this scot-free. So that is it for my trailer breakdowns for Arrow Season 7, Episode 13, titled Star City Slayer, and The Flash Season 5, Episode 14, titled Cause and Excess. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. Which one of these episodes are you most anticipating? Me personally, I think Arrow's been doing better so far. In this episode of The Flash, it's reusing the same concept, and Cicada is the main threat of this episode, which after the last episode, he's become a very unmenacing villain. So I'm actually more interested in the next episode of Arrow. Also, Excess is the main character in the next episode, and she doesn't really work well as a main character, especially in like emotional scenes like in the next episode we see in the trailer. Those things are going to happen, so I am much more excited, or much more interested at least, in the next episode of Arrow with the return of Stanley Dover and the Star City, or aka the Star City Slayer. But let me know all your thoughts in the comments. Which one of these episodes are you most anticipating? And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.